All right. All right. So I'm so excited to be back with another episode of the AgeDEFY Way podcast. Today I have AgeDEFY member Leah with us, and I am so excited for you to get to know her. And let's just get started. Hi, Leah. How are you doing?
Hello, Donnell. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you for sure. Um, as always, I send out a list of questions to everybody that I interview, and I sent those questions to you. You had just a moment to look them over, so I know you haven't been able to prepare your answers, which these are the kind of interviews I love, right? I just want you to pull from your vault and answer them what comes from inside, okay?
Okay.
So I have to ask your age because this is AgeDEFY, and I want to tell people of all ages why they should be doing AgeDEFY. So can you let us know how old you are and how long you've been doing AgeDEFY?
I'm 57, almost 58, and I've been doing Age Defy, a little over 2 years now?
Mhm. Yeah,
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 yeah.
if not closer to 3. Yeah, who knows?
I
Trying to
know,
think.
yeah, probably almost 2.5. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's been a great 2.5 years. I love knowing you. So what's your profession and also what do you like to do outside of the AgeDEFY studio and outside of your job, let's say?
Well, my profession, what I love to get to do is I'm a counselor. So that's what I do. And outside of doing that, I love anything outdoors and anything movement wise. So and I love to read and of course spend time with friends and family and so yeah, and explore and learn new things. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
What brought you to AgeDEFY in the first place?
What brought me to Age Defy was that I was really looking for, like, I've always loved movement. I mean, in all ways, and have done it since I was little, and running around playing and starting with ballet and dance and onward. And so, what brought me to Age Defy those 2.5 years ago is that I knew I needed something different. Like I had a long-standing injury that would not get better. That had started in my ankle and left hip and back, and I knew I needed something different. To even though I'd done PT, I'd done lots of different things. Gone to MDs and done acupressure and tons of different things, but I knew that for my own healing that there could be something different, and I really didn't want to go in to continue aging with limitations. Like I wanted to reach a new level, so I started looking like what else could there be. And in my belief pattern, there was some divine intervention, and somehow I found something online or did something when I was looking through and exploring stuff, and I'm like, well, let's just check this out. And then I was like,
Well, it has to be divine intervention because especially 2.5 years ago, I had no clue how to be online. So however you found me was definitely a miracle, you know? And so I love it. And so how is your ankle and all that stuff feeling that you were just talking about? How's that injury feel to you these days?
amazingly different. Like I was just telling somebody the other day that I am the strongest I feel like I have ever been in my entire life, even in my 20s. It's like I feel that it's just been an amazing journey, and it's just amazing. So yeah, like in terms of healing, yeah.
Man, that's so awesome to hear. I love it. And why do you think you feel so strong? I mean, do you think, because intuitively, right off the bat, when you said that, I was like, because we do so many different things.
Yes,
Do you believe that's true then?
yes, yes.
And
Yeah.
what I mean by that, just to who's ever listening, is that, well, we can get into this. I mean, Leah comes to Chi Flow on Tuesdays, and she does Sculpt Flow on Thursdays, Step Flow and Mobility Flow on Saturdays, and
Yeah.
Bar Flow on Sundays. Yeah,
Yep.
and Bar Flow on Sundays. So she's doing all these classes every week on a regular basis, and she's never getting good at one style of movement. She's getting good at a ton of multiple styles of movement. And I think that's leading you to being able to say that at 57, almost 58, you're feeling stronger than ever before.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's very, very true. Yep.
That's so
Yes.
awesome. So out of those classes we just talked about, what would be your favorite?
Oh,
Hard question.
that is a really hard question because part of that is that it's like it's always stimulating. So I like the differences instead of being, I mean, you're always introducing something new and different. So it always keeps, my mind engaged as well as my body. And
Mhm.
so I don't know, like I definitely have ones that are a little more like sculpt flow is one of my more challenging ones because I have to do things that are more outside my comfort zone. But that's what's good about it. It's like it pushes me and challenges me and inspires me to go to a new level. So I don't know that I really actually have one favorite because I really love the diversity.
You know what I love? I've asked however many podcasts we are into this, everyone has the same kind of answer. Like no one can pick out a favorite class. Nobody, you know? And I love too that everyone I've interviewed so far, they don't even come to just one style or two styles. I mean, they really have dived in. So, but that, how did you, how did we get here? How did you get to doing 5 online classes a week with me when you're so busy? I know you're busy with your career and everything else. So how did you get here?
Um, you know, when we started, it was the sense of like you had that beginning mod program you could do to really learn how to do it, which was awesome. It brought me back from like just pushing through because I think that's one of the lovely things about Age Defy is like I've always felt I was pretty in tune with my body, but with Age Defy, it takes it to another depth to really well, you're a phenomenal instructor and coach and guide. It's also that you give it back to us to listen to yourself. And so I think that it's like the process that you started with that is it helped me to grow and step into that, to know what I needed to do to to keep going to the next thing. So that's where it started was when, and you've morphed. I don't even know if you have that anymore. It was like, I don't know whether it was 12 weeks. I don't even remember what it was, but it was that introductory piece. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And it's like, I really feel out of sync now if I don't start like those days with doing things. I structure my life around like AgeDEFY classes.
And
So
people need to do that. I hear it from so many people. It's like, I just don't have time. The schedule doesn't really work with my schedule, and I'm like, well, if you really want something, it's up to you. And you've got to reschedule your life then, right? And that's just all there is to it. And I don't think that's a big ask, but yet for some reason, people are not prioritize that word. They're not.
prioritizing, yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Leah knows me. I get tongue tied a lot. um, they're not prioritizing their own health and fitness, and I think in a way, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation. You do have to say, I can fit one live class in a week. I can wake up 2 hours early on Tuesday mornings, or something like that, or on Saturday mornings and make this happen. And I think that's a good start. The program that you're talking about, I don't have that program anymore, but it is still, I still have access to it. And I do think about publishing it again, but
Yeah.
it's just videos from so long ago. It's hard for me because it's almost like I've moved beyond that now.
Yeah.
But I just, so you know, I did make a new program inspired by that because I do know people need a launching off period or platform. So I did a 5 sampler platter. So I have a beginner 20-minute class for movement therapy, mobility flow, flow motion, chi flow, and bar flow. So it's kind of an introduction program. So anybody that's listening to this, you should start with that introduction program because that's exactly what Leah just said. I wanted that program helped her morph into more, right? It
Yes.
gave you
Yes.
that process. So I do have a new program for people to try, which is good. So let's talk about what you have maybe learned the most from your AgeDEFY experience.
Let's see. What I have learned most would be that's so hard. I think that what I've learned most is that I can do more than I think I can. And that, and that I do it in a different way than I used to, in the sense of like that I can do more than I think I can, but I also do it in a way that feels really impactful in terms of empowering without just gutting through, like with a bit much more of a mindfulness, if that makes sense.
It
Yeah.
does. I
Yeah.
kind of feel like that's the whole idea of moving young to live young, right? Like you move young by challenging your body to new movement every day, but also to make that conscious decision to not just force it to happen,
Yes.
to push it to happen, to pause in it, to really learn from it, mind and body. Chase
Mhm.
the feel good. Make sure it feels good to you. Don't do it just because somebody's telling you to do it or because you have 5 more miles left of your run, right? You have to
Yes.
chase your feel good. So I love that that is what you've learned the most. I do have this question that I'm very excited to hear you answer. It, if we were to come back and do another podcast like this interview in 1 year,
Okay.
what body ability goals do you hope to reach by this time next year? So, I mean, how was boat for you today? Boat
That
pose.
was so easy.
Yes! Can
It
you
was
believe
just
you're
like,
saying
ah,
that?
it was so easy. I know. It was just like, no, I'm never going to have that deep core strength again. Really, because after having a C-section, it's different. And so you're like, it will never be the ease that it used to be. And it's like, it was a piece of cake. It was just so
Whoa.
lovely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that you're saying that. Okay. So now you never thought boat was going to be, you would say this about boat. So let's think now, let's name a pose or a challenge that I have been giving you lately. And what would you want to do in a year with that? What is it?
Ooh. It would be, I don't know if I could say this on the my podcast, that there are parts of me that are still not wanting to swear when I'm doing the what I call tiger burpees.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's like the I'll be going OS on
Yeah.
this one. It's
Yeah.
like we're on the 10th one. So like the sense of like, that but I love that because part of that is what I mean by that is like that goal is the sense of the fluidity of movement from standing to down to back to forward to up. Like you're using all of your body and it's cardio, your heart's pounding too. But the sense of like, and I love that about AgeDEFY is the sense of like the pacing. Like, so it will encourage me, like, I don't have to do this too slow, but I also can go a little faster and feel and do that. So that would actually be my goal, which may be a little different than you thought it would be. But I love the fluidity of like, as you'll say in class sometimes, like, moving beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beauty
Yeah.
in motion. Beauty in
Yes.
motion. So taking the tiger burpees and making them beauty in motion and being able to stop swearing while you're doing it. That's our bodybuilding challenge.
Yeah. Just when you get to a certain number, you're like, oh my gosh, can I do any more?
And you're doing the strong program, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What number are you on?
Oh my gosh, that kicks my butt.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's designed to kick your butt, just so you
Yes,
know.
it is.
Yeah.
And it does. I think I finished 8, so I must be on number. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So either 7, 8, or 9. There's some tiger burpees in it, is what I'm
Yes.
saying. Yeah. Okay. So okay. I love it. So I always want I want you guys, I haven't really talked to you about this too much, but I would like you to see you guys go through strong at least 3 times from beginning to end, right? And because that's going to give you the data, you're going to be able to make small adjustments to every workout after the first round. And so now that we've talked about your body ability goals, every time we do those tiger burpees in strong, so I want you to focus on strong, right? You work on that whole beauty in motion, right? Just work on it and find and work towards that body ability goal in strong, because that in strong, they're perfectly placed for you. They really are. Now step ones, those are tough. The step ones, the tiger burpees and step,
Yeah.
that's tough. I don't think that will ever not be tough for any of us.
Yeah.
At least you don't have a microphone. I'm doing those tiger burpees with you, and I'm like, in the microphone. So they are killer. I love them too. Let's see here. I think you've already almost explained it, but I want to ask this question anyway. What does uwe mean to you?
Um, I think that, for my morphing that definition and you're right. I do think I've sort of described it it's not too much. It's not too little. It's the sense of, I'm not pushing through so that, excessive effort. But also, so there isn't that deep struggle, yet there isn't holding back and not enough. It is that real sense of balance or equanimity. Yeah.
Yes, and really people have to understand that more people have a tendency to hold themselves back than
Mhm.
push too hard, right?
Yeah.
So and I think that's a fine line that we all have to find to
Yes.
keep moving young and to keep living young, right? Because if we go too hard, it's going to hurt us. And we're
Yeah.
already injured in a way, right? And we're aging. So if we go too hard, it will hurt us. But if we don't go hard enough, it won't change us. And if we're not constantly changing, that's when we start to age, right? In a way. So I love that that's what it means to you and you're finding that in movement. But something that I always say in classes before we end is we learn it in movement to live it in life. So that brings me to this question. How do you live AgeDEFY the concept of uwe in your everyday life?
Um, I think that I think that is a piece of. I think it's easier to do in my classes with you than doing it in life sometimes. Even though really what I do is for my profession is part of that. In reality, the sense of mindful presence in where that is in terms of that equanimity and being in that place. So I think it's, like the old yoga phrase, doing it off the mat is actually really true about how, you stop and pause and tune into what and dig deep about where you can step forward or where you're supposed to be still.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Let me ask you a couple more questions were not on the list. Um, had you ever done step aerobics before? I can't remember.
In the, I don't know when is 80s or 90s, whenever that was, like in my college gym, I yes did step. Yeah.
And how is step flow for you now in your 50s?
Well, it's still intense, but it's the sense of like it feels much better because we're using the AgeDEFY principle pieces. So you make space for some of that movement instead of, forcing through. So like, you're not going to get injured, which was so common in the old steps.
Right.
But yeah.
And are you
Yeah.
doing it barefoot with me too?
Yes.
And how does that feel on your feet?
I love that. I
Yes.
love it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you're saying that. And there's a couple more things that, and we're going to go back to living it in life. So just like you said, that you're not forcing, you're not, getting injured, bringing it back to your career, because I love that your career is in counseling. And sometimes I ask you some questions like, do you think what I'm saying is good advice, right? Coming from
Yes.
a counselor, like, because I always talk about that we're not here just to change the physical body. We're here for mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, physical health, all of it, right?
Yes.
And so do you think then that, I mean, do you think movement can be medicine for mental health?
Oh, it definitely. And the research, I mean, even if you're a science-based person, the research is proving that too, besides
Right.
people's lived experiences.
So
Yes.
would you ever not using the word prescribe, but would you ever encourage people who are struggling with depression, not your client, it doesn't have to be your clients, just anybody, people struggling with depression or just lack of motivation or kind of feeling that there's nothing going on good for them, if they took a class like Step Flow and for
Oh,
like
yeah.
90 days or something, just challenge their mind and their bodies so much? Do you think, because I don't want people to look at Step Flow just as a physical challenge, I wanted to look at it could change your almost kind of your brain body connection in a way. Doing it barefoot, following those instructions, being able to go in any direction at different paces. Do you think that can be almost medicine for some of our mental health problems?
Oh, I think it's definitely for more than depression. I think, to be honest, most anything, because the way that AgeDEFY is, you have set it up also really well, is the sense of that you are embodied, which is key to one's well-being and all the things you're talking about for mental health. And so it's the sense of like, besides the physical capacity of having more chemicals released when we have body movement, which are positive, the dopamine and serotonin and all the things that we need that actually help us to emotionally feel better as well as physically, is the sense of like being able to once again be embodied, which is key to having presence, to being mindful, and to be able to respond differently and fully in life. So yes. I think it's so key to and that AgeDEFY does that so beautifully.
Well, thank you for that. I love that. It is something that I'm really after, to tell you the honest truth. So when I just want to look really quick. So this is my final question. Mm-hmm. If someone new who is, kind of maybe contemplating AgeDEFY, right, signing up, what would be the best advice you would give to someone brand new to coming into the AgeDEFY community, becoming a member? What would you tell them to do?
I would say do it and stay with it. Because so often we give up on ourselves early. And it's the sense of, especially with AgeDEFY, is truly the space to it. It's not about comparing yourself to someone else. It's truly about where you are and growing. And it is astounding how, when you do stay with it, the things that you discover about yourself. So that, stopping that negative voice of like, oh, I'm not doing it as well as, or I should be able to do it, is like, no, stay with it, be consistent, start, and you will have amazing things that you will notice in 30 days, in just 60 days. And the community, the sense, whether, if you do the classes, it's fun. Like, I know, like, okay, well, where's Amy today? What's going on?
I know Amy was missing today. I know.
Yeah, it's like, okay, what's going on? So it's also the sense of like even though we don't have time to do a lot of, you do build those connections too within your community, doing the live classes. So yeah, I would say start it, don't delay, and stay with it. Just stay with it, and it will be profound.
And I also just want to add, because that was so beautiful, but I want to add, it makes a difference if you can get in front of us, if you can get into the community. If you find just one live class to come to a week or even a month, I mean, it can really change your video experience, right?
Yes.
Your at-home workout experience. Do you agree?
Yes, I totally agree. Yes.
Yeah. And people should not be scared of Zoom, right?
No, it's so easy.
It's so easy. And even though you are working out at home by yourself, you still feel like you belong to a deep, connected community.
Yes.
On Zoom.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
This is how we end this podcast, because this is all I needed to hear to just make me be so excited about continuing this work. So thank you. Yes. And I seriously, I love you. And I'm so glad that however you found me, we were brought together.
Can I say one more thing?
Oh, please. Anything.
I just want to say, I am so grateful for the amazingness that you are, Donnell, and for following your heart and vision to create this amazing, amazing transformational experience for me and for so many.
Oh man, you're going to make me cry. Thanks for, being with me on all the bumps and the bruises. It's really been amazing. And I love you guys as much as, you give me back as much as I give you. That's what I want you to know too.
Thank you.
Big love, my friend.
Big love.
Thank you for doing this with me.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Truly.
Have a good day.
All right, sweetie. You too. Take care.
See you at School Flow tomorrow.
Okay.